the nervous system. So you think it was compromised?
It was absolutely compromised because that's what brought me out of the hell, was working on my nervous system. And now we know that your autonomic nervous system is the big daddy behind chronic illness. Unresolving chronic symptoms, your autonomic nervous system is playing a part, and that needs to be addressed.
All right, guys, Cathleen King here today, CEO of Primal Trust. An incredible story about healing the body, too. I can't wait to get into it.
I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, you're going to change a lot of lives today, I think.
Awesome.
I mean, overcoming what you went through. Some of those diseases, they say, are uncurable, right?
Yep.
So that's what they told you, and then they gave you a pill for it.
Well, they actually told me my issue was anxiety, and most of the people that I saw for many years for what was going on, that was their whole framework. It must be anxiety because we don't understand this. There isn't clear testing for the kind of things I had. And like an antacid for my stomach. So.
Good old Tums, right?
Yeah.
I used to take Tums, and I actually realized it was just anxiety.
Yeah.
So flip for me, but
yeah,
I used to pound those, but I'd get this stomach and chest tightness.
Yep.
But it was just terrible anxiety. And a lot of that I realize now is from poor diet.
Yep.
Diet's super important.
Absolutely. It affects your brain, it affects your gut. Anxiety, that alarm can show up in so many ways in our body and eventually cause immune system to be dysregulated, our ability to detoxify to be dysregulated. And slowly over time, there's just a system shutdown if it goes unchecked.
Right. So I know you struggle with Lyme, mold, fatigue. So when did all that start happening?
Yeah, I first started getting symptomatic around age 25. So 2003, many years ago. I was traveling. I got a gut infection. Yes, a lot of times these things start in the gut. And then I came back to the States, and they're just like, yep, let's give you that the stomach acid pill. I'm like, but I was just traveling. Maybe there was something to do with parasites. Oh, no, we don't have parasites in the U.S. I'm like, I know, but I was just out of the country. No, it's just this. And then, many years of just feeling unwell. I think I was one of the first people to cut gluten out of my diet before anyone knew what that was. But over time, I went from doctor to doctor, and my symptoms just got worse. I had to stop working. I was a physical therapist. And I found myself mostly bedbound. Over time, many years later, I finally got diagnosed with Lyme disease, mold toxicity, chronic fatigue syndrome, and a whole bunch of other things that go into that category, and still went from doctor to doctor, and there wasn't a lot of help back then. The nervous system wasn't usually part of the game. It was trying to figure out what antibiotics or supplements I could take, but I was intolerant to almost everything. I was that classic highly sensitive, can't even tolerate a drop of homeopathic person because the root issue was more around my nervous system than about the bugs and the toxins that had built up.
Wow. So the nervous system. So you think it was compromised?
100%. It was absolutely compromised because that's what brought me out of the hell, was working on my nervous system. And now we know that your autonomic nervous system is the big daddy behind chronic illness. Unresolving chronic symptoms, your autonomic nervous system is playing a part. And that needs to be addressed.
And how do people watching this know the status of their nervous system, if it's healthy or not?
Yeah. Do you wake up feeling angst? Do you have that pain that you described in your stomach, or random pains, digestive issues, feeling like you're constantly ruminating and forecasting, feeling like you need to double check and control everything, constantly body scanning, constantly researching on Google, having all sorts of weird symptoms that come and go, and you're playing whack-a-mole with them because you can't quite get on top of them. And it seems like you work on one thing and then all of a sudden something else pops up. It's probably your autonomic nervous system that is contributing to a lot of your condition.
And that's interesting. And then from there, we are taught to take a pill for that, to fix it.
Yes, we are taught that we go to a doctor and this great power will give us this pill and it will solve it all. And unfortunately, when the nervous system is really involved, it's just not going to work. And you're going to need another pill and another pill and another protocol and another doctor. And if you were like me, I spent tens of thousands of dollars, saw probably 30 plus practitioners, and just went from thing to thing. And they'd all come up with the latest diagnosis. I had a diagnosis list as long as a sheet of paper, and still I was sick. And that's when I eventually had to give up on that route. I had we'd lost all our money. We were bankrupt, basically, living off from, at the time, church welfare. And I couldn't afford to see the doctor. So I started using the skills I used to teach people as a physical therapist with chronic pain. I didn't have chronic pain. I had all sorts of other neurological symptoms from Lyme disease, but I started using these brain and body nervous system skills, and it started to work. And I'm like, wait a minute. I was told this is a real infection. I have these real toxins, and I have all these other conditions. Why is this brain and eye exercises and vagus nerve exercises? Why didn't a doctor give this to me 10 years ago, 15 years ago? So yeah, that's what turned me around and led me on the path of what I'm doing now.
Absolutely. I want to talk about these eye exercises and vagus nerve exercises because people wouldn't even think that would impact health, right? Doing an eye exercise.
Nope.
So what's the, I guess, science behind that?
Yeah. So when I first learned, it was a science based on functional neurology, which are these eye exercises. Sometimes they're called eye yoga. And they impact the way that your brain processes information. Your eyes are one of the most direct connections to your brain. And they also connect to the back of your neck, your upper cervical region. So I used to use them for people with upper cervical instability, chronic pain, and helping with brain processing of pain. I decided to try them for me because I was at the point where I couldn't handle light, I couldn't handle sound, I couldn't drive. And sure enough, within a week of doing these eye exercises, I started to get my function back. My brain started to process better because what's happening is that you have a whole body inflammatory response. And when that inflammation causes your brain to kind of go offline. So the eye exercises are like a workout for your brain to start communicating between the front brain, the midbrain, the hindbrain, stabilizing your upper cervical spine, which also helps to influence your vagus nerve. It's a really powerful nerve that affects a lot of your body. And so I was really getting my brain online, getting my vagus nerve functioning again. And then a lot of my infection symptoms started to subside as the brain processing improved.
That's so fascinating.
Yeah.
Was your vision restored too?
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. And anxiety. It's really great for anxiety and all sorts of things. So yeah.
I'm going to be contacting you because people are pushing LASIK, but that seems very invasive.
Yeah. There's so much you can do. There's a lot of, there's even a lot of professional companies that work with athletes, and they do all these eye training exercises. One company is called Z Health. They have a very affordable eye training program for people that are, it's marketed for athletes, but it's great for anxiety, health issues, vision issues. And of course, we teach the eye exercises as well in Primal Trust.
Yeah, I could see it being very beneficial for athletes because that could give them a huge edge in sports, right? Their reaction times will be quicker.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember because I'm a basketball player and I used to deny that I had bad vision because of my ego. But as soon as I put on contacts, my game just elevated. So vision is important. And I'm learning now dental health is super important.
Yes, that's another thing that's, again, influencing the brain function and the body and the autonomic nervous system. Another thing just to make sure your eyes, your teeth, the way we're breathing, all of these things affect our health.
Yeah, I'm seeing these Eastern charts where like each tooth is connected to an organ.
Yep. Yeah, they knew what they were doing in the East.
Yeah, but out here you don't learn any of those methodologies, and I try to live as holistic as possible. So I align with the Eastern stuff more because it's more preventative.
Yeah, absolutely, and it actually makes sense when you read the science behind Eastern philosophy and health. I incorporate a lot of that in what we do.
Right. So that's with Primal Trust Academy, right?
Yeah.
And is that a teaching thing, or how is that structured?
So. I learned a bunch of exercises to help my nervous system, both as a physical therapist and just with my own studies. And I found a sequence of how you work with the nervous system. You'll see these days on Instagram, everybody has nervous system tricks. But what they don't have is they don't have proper sequencing and the proper understanding of which tool to apply when. Just like if I was rehabilitating my knee, I wouldn't just go do certain exercises. I would start small and work my way up. So the same thing with our program. We work with the brain and the nervous system in a very specific way. We work with the vagus nerve. We work with breathing. We work with the limbic system of the brain. That's actually one of the biggest things we work on is the limbic system of the brain, doing something called brain retraining or self-directed neuroplasticity exercises. We also work with somatic, so that's body-based exercises, and we work with trauma. And we sequence these different tools throughout the program. We have a level 1 program that's about 2 months, and then we have a level 2 program that's 2 to 5 months to work their nervous system, get more resiliency, more capacity to discharge stress and inflammation, and then actually take the inner journey of working through trauma, because that's really what's going on. It's lodged trauma, it's stuck in our body, And we need to teach the body that it's safe to discharge that energy.
Right. Do you think that built up trauma can lead to physical health issues?
100%. That is my whole spiel. If I were to, go back and tell myself 20 years ago, hey, Kat, you know what's wrong with you? The trauma from your childhood has been stuck in your body. It's caused your immune system to kind of go haywire. It's confused. You have a confused immune system now. Your detoxification system is jammed up, and your ability to have your mind and body communicate has been locked because you don't want to feel what has been stuck in there. And over time, this affects your organs, it affects your function. And if you get bit by a tick or exposed to a parasite or a virus, well, now your body doesn't know how to deal with it because your autonomic nervous system is locked from trauma. So, Kat, you need to go on a trauma healing pathway. It's not about the anxiety pill and it's not about the antacid. It's about your trauma. And I wish that someone would have explained this to me and explained the science to me back then, because I didn't understand until, about 7 years ago.
Absolutely. I definitely think there's a link too, because I used to get sick every month before I addressed my trauma. And now I rarely, knock on wood, get sick. So
yeah.
Once I adjust the trauma, I don't know if there's a direct correlation, but definitely didn't get sick as much. So.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many studies out there. The Childhood ACEs study, it's called Childhood ACEs study by Kaiser Permanente in the late 90s. Are you familiar with that?
No.
Okay, super cool, everybody. You're going to want to check this out. So it was a study done by Kaiser Permanente in the late 90s, and it's 10 questions. And these 10 questions give you a score on your likelihood of developing chronic illness as an adult. So it's questions about what happened to you as a child. And I don't think it's a complete list. There's a lot of different types of trauma. But for example, if you score 4 or higher, you're going to have a high likelihood of having serious chronic illness as an adult.
Wow.
If you score, and my score was 9 out of 10.
Damn, you've been through some stuff.
Overachiever in trauma. But it's actually an interesting test to take because it's an awareness like, wow, I actually have a pretty high score, which means a lot of these symptoms could likely be because of these adverse childhood events. That's what it stands for, adverse childhood events. And that is a setup, and we know this through research, it's a setup for your immune system to become confused and to have issues as an adult, and it can lead to all sorts of illnesses, addiction likelihood, and even...
That's fascinating. So people watching this, we'll link that test below, guys. And if you score 4 or more, hit up Kathleen here.
Yeah.
I'm going to take it too.
Yeah, I think even like 2 and above, you have a very increased risk.
Really?
Like 4 or more, yeah, you're going to...
So there is a direct correlation then. 100%. That's proven through trauma.
Yep.
How many people took that test on that research?
I don't remember, but it is well documented and referenced. So I think it's at least from a Western point of view, like one of the criticisms that it's more of a Western viewpoint trauma test versus a holistic world point view. But in the Western system, if you grew up here, it's a pretty good test of likelihood of getting sick.
That's so interesting because people with diseases would never put those 2 and 2 together, right?
Nope. And when I took that test and my therapist was like, look, this is how likely that your symptoms are due to trauma, I really recommend you start looking into your trauma as far as healing. I was like, oh my goodness. So, and that's really the work I do. I teach the correlation between our emotional state, our trauma state, and the way that our nervous system functions, and therefore our immune system and our digestive system and our endocrine system. It's all connected, and we live in a medical paradigm where those things are disconnected, and we get an ailment, like you said, you go to the doctor and you look for the pill. You're not looking for the emotional root cause or the way you've been living your life that's actually contributing to that stagnation that's resulting in dis-ease and symptoms.
Yeah, I was living life thinking I had no trauma, honestly, and then I got a brain scan at Dr. Amen Clinics, and it showed up, and I was like,
really?
There's no denying this now. I got to address this.
Wow.
But I think a lot of people are like that. They put it to the side or in the back of their mind.
Yeah.
They live life just ignoring it, but it's still there.
Yep.
So.
Yep, it's there, and your body will eventually let you know.
Yeah, and it said I had a TBI, which is interesting because I never had a concussion, but it was from trauma.
Yep.
So it can literally cause brain injury.
Yep. Absolutely. In fact, those eye exercises, originally they've been marketed for people with concussions, and so a lot of people with trauma, absolutely, they will get a concussion-like presentation. And we see that as a strong correlation for those that end up with chronic fatigue, chronic Lyme disease, long COVID, those sorts of things. At some point, they may have had some type of concussion and or trauma or both that sets the brain up for having processing errors and getting stuck in that chronic immune response, which is what we're seeing now with long COVID.
Yeah. Long COVID's no joke. It's seeming like really hard to right?
Yep. And it has a lot to do with the autonomic nervous system. So again, we need to bridge that gap and help. We have a lot of people in our program that come in with long COVID and they have complete remission. Once they regulate their limbic system and their nervous system, their immune system kind of, the infection has passed. I can calm down this cytokine storm. I can calm down this response, because that's what's happening. The immune system gets stuck as if the infection is ongoing, and it acts and it behaves in that way. And the nervous system is highly tied into that. There's a theory called cell danger response that was coined by Robert Navio, and that's really the theory that I base most of my program on. He describes that when we contact a pathogen or even a physical trauma or an emotional trauma, our cells will go into a cell danger response, meaning they're going to hunker down and protect because they don't want to be destroyed. And then the cells send messages to other cells saying, hey, there's a pathogen in the system. We need to protect ourselves. And it's normal to go into cell danger response. Now, if you think about it, when you've had trauma, in some way emotionally, you've kind of had to hunker down and protect, right?
Yeah.
So that entrains the nervous system that the next time danger happens, we need to hunker down and protect all the way down to the cellular level, and it can get stuck. And then we don't come out of cell danger response. The way we heal from illness is the cells go into cell danger response, they protect, the immune system goes and cleans everything up. Then a signal is sent saying, hey, the war is over. Let's come back into thrive. Let's make energy. Let's detoxify. If that signal doesn't get sent through the autonomic nervous system to the cell that the war is over, we will stay stuck in cell danger response. And that looks like long COVID. It looks like chronic Lyme disease. It looks like chronic mold toxicity, all of those things, because literally there's a signal. The war is not over. I am not safe. And so the setup of trauma is part of what is the setup for chronic cell danger response ongoing. So the question is, how do we send a signal of safety? How do we send the signal that the war is over? Well, often doing trauma processing is how we start to send that signal to our psyche and all the way down to the cellular level.
Wow. So healing the trauma sends that signal?
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
fascinating. That's such a shift in the way people think about health, I feel like.
Yeah, and it's a science to back why trauma healing and emotional processing makes sense if you have chronic unresolving symptoms.
Yeah, I saw it with my dad. He had so much trauma, but he never addressed it. And it ate at him. I could see it on his body, you know?
Yeah, you can. You can absolutely see somebody stuck in a literal cell danger response. They are hunkered down, they're protective, they're not open to life, you know, and it's all the way down to that cellular level, and it's going to affect their body in many ways.
Yeah. Talk to me about your mold journey. I just bought a house. The first thing I did was got a mold test.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah, I was
Yay.
not. They were like, it's 3,000. I don't care. This is so important to know that I don't have mold in the house.
Well, it's great that you're informed.
Excellent. Oh yeah, I just see what people are going through. Like Michaela Peterson had a terrible story. A few other people.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. So mold illness is a big part of what we treat. It's a big part of what I went through, and of course, it's something that a lot of people in the mainstream have no idea. These weird symptoms. You don't know why your body's collapsing. Because some people can live in the same house and they're fine, and another person completely goes downhill. They get stuck in cell danger response. And that is going to be dependent on the state of your neurobiological development. So yeah, mold illness is a real thing. Whenever you move into a house, highly recommend that you get it checked. We just bought a house, and of course it was filled with mold. The irony, in St. George, I moved to the desert, and we buy a moldy house.
It's everywhere now.
It is. It's everywhere. So we had to remediate. Fortunately, I didn't get sick this time, but many years ago, I sure did. And it's going to feel like, you know, all sorts of things, brain fog, pain. If you have things like Lyme disease or other infections, it can make it worse because it causes your immune system to be suppressed and shut down and confused. And it's triggering even more of that cell danger response because your body's sensing those mycotoxins in the system. And again, there is invaders, there's pathogens, there's threat, and it's going to cause the whole body to kind of lock up. So it's important to know, it's important to clean up your house. I'm not like an extremist. I've seen a lot of people actually heal from mold illness by turning off that cell danger response. Just like how one person can live in that house and be okay. It is possible, but you have to do a lot of work. I mean, really a lot of emotional work. I think it's best to clean it up as much as possible, but I do want to give hope if you're stuck. Clean it up, get an air filter, and do the work on trauma, and it can help you to over time recover from
Yeah,
illness.
I got the air doctors running in every room. I love those.
Yep.
Yeah, it tells you like the score of how polluted. There was a fire here like a month ago and they shot up.
Oh yeah, we had it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that reached Utah from Cali?
Yeah,
Wow.
I know. It was crazy. We don't usually get fires, smoke there, but we did.
Crazy. Yeah, I was surprised it hit Nevada, but Utah's a whole nother state over.
Yep.
Dang. Is this your book? Like, is this for sale or is it?
No, it's free. So I wrote a book that you can download on my website. I don't know where the camera is.
How Healing Happens.
How Healing Happens. I wrote this book because I feel like awareness is needed about cell danger response, about the autonomic nervous system, the limbic system, and the bridge behind our emotional state, our autonomic nervous system state, and the likelihood of getting chronic symptoms like long COVID and Lyme. So it's the science behind what we teach. It's also several practices, and it's under our free resources on our website. Maybe you can drop it in the link below.
We'll put it below.
And it's a great way to just say, hey, what's this girl talking about? Does this resonate? I really wrote this also for practitioners so that they can educate their patients on why doing nervous system work makes sense, even if they have this very real infection or condition. So to me, this is like foundation for health, this understanding. I feel like my goal is that every practitioner understands this. I wish that teachers understood this so they could recognize this in their students, that they're starting to get dysregulated. So yeah, that's the mission behind this book.
Wow, I appreciate you doing that for free because there's this belief that you need money to be healthy, to heal your diseases.
No, we try to do as much free content as we can. Of course, we have like a whole structured course and program, but I give a lot of that away here and our Instagram and YouTube. This is a great way to get started, and it might inspire you to take your own path. I don't care if it's my program or anything. What's going to help your nervous system feel better? What do you love? Go for that. Get that incorporated into your life.
Yeah, that's huge because just affording medicine these days for people that don't have insurance is insane. And insurance these days, I'm paying $800 a month.
Yeah.
Because I'm self-employed, so it's expensive.
And it doesn't offer these solutions.
No, hell no.
Yeah, so you're not going to get the mold test or the Lyme test or you're not going to get any of this.
And the blood test is not comprehensive.
Exactly. So, I
just have it because of emergencies.
Yeah.
Mainly, like I would never go to just a regular doctor for a checkup.
Exactly.
I mean, those physicals are pretty useless. I remember getting those for sports with the triangle thing on your knees.
Yeah. Oh, you're this tall. Okay, you're good to go.
Yeah, they should reform that whole physical and actually test. I love what this company Prenuvo is doing. Have you seen them?
I've heard of them. Yeah.
Yeah, full body MRI, and 5% of what they're seeing in their clients is severe cases of disease starting. So
interesting.
1 out of 20 people.
Wow.
Pretty common.
And then they could say, hey, your nervous system is going to need your back, and let's get working on that now before this develops into that.
Exactly.
And you can prevent disease by getting your system, like from an Eastern philosophy, opened up, the meridians flowing, the organs talking to each other, our brain and body talking to each other, addressing that trauma and helping them to understand the science behind why that makes sense. Because that's the jump that people have to make. We have this medical system that's entrained us with diagnosis and pill, but we don't have the leap of diagnosis and autonomic nervous system and brain state that have been the setup all along for why you ended up with this condition, most likely.
Yep. And now we're in a society where people aren't finding out they have cancer until stage 3, stage 4, when it should be way more preventable, right?
Yeah.
Like they should know at stage 1 or 2, or even not get it at all, hopefully one day.
Yep.
I mean, that's just terrifying to find out that late, but that's common.
Yep. It is.
Sucks. I've got a few friends dealing with that now, and the rates of all these diseases are skyrocketing, right? You probably know more about that than me, but it seems really scary right now.
Yeah, I mean, think about, if you think about cancer and other things, a lot of it is our body's inability to discharge toxins. We know we're toxic. We're toxic with our food, our air, our thoughts, and we're also so hyperstimulated that we can't go into rest, digest, and repair, and that's where we release toxins. We aren't resting. We're on our phones. We're running around. We're answering a million messages. We're not able to discharge trauma because we're not sitting in nature and just allowing things to come up and out like we used to. Kids are not outside running around. They're stuck inside, so they're not discharging toxins. And over time, there's a buildup, and that's going to lead to what we're seeing today, this chronic illness epidemic.
I had a guest on yesterday. He said the average kid is outside less than a maximum security prisoner these days.
Yeah, we just listened to that, and it makes sense. I mean, at schools, they're not even letting them outside for recess.
And gym class is a joke at school.
Yeah.
I mean, you get for what you pay for. So if you're paying the teacher $40K a year, they're not going to care about providing a good setting for gym class.
Yep, 100%.
So yeah, it just needs massive reform.
Yes, and education and awareness before it's too late. We're like, frogs slowly boiling in hot water. That's what's happening.
No, that's what's happening.
And I don't know anybody who doesn't have chronic symptoms. Like,
even me, and I'm pretty healthy, but I got a blood test and there was signs of an autoimmune disease creeping up. And I eat really healthy, I work out and stuff, but you're just being attacked from like 5G, Wi-Fi, like lights. It's everywhere. So
exactly, our body literally cannot get that message of it's safe to come out of cell danger response. The Wi-Fi, the toxins, all of that is stimulating to the cells. So we have to biohack our own amygdala, our own limbic system, our own autonomic nervous system. We have to take more of an active approach in sending signals of safety, because by our very lifestyle now, we're not getting that because we're bombarded all the time.
Yep. So 1 out of 6 kids have autism now. They're saying by 2030, 1 out of 2. So if you have kids, you'll have a 50-50 chance of that happening.
Yep.
So at this rate, almost everyone will have it if this continues.
That's right.
Crazy,
right? Because
right?
we are not able to discharge toxins. We are stuck in that cell danger response.
And it's not just humans too, animals. So 1 out of 2 dogs have died from cancer or have it right now. And they're saying in 10 years, almost every dog will have it at this rate. I just switched my dogs to an all raw diet. They're way better, but that's the 5G, the Wi-Fi. I mean, it's everywhere, the air quality.
Yep.
So.
And here you are in Vegas with the cell tower down the
Sin
street.
City, baby. Got that 5G in me right now.
Yeah, I know. We moved to find a place where there was no other Wi-Fi signal around our house, so we could turn it off at night and be in.
Wow.
It's really nice. Yeah.
And that's the part with apartment buildings that people don't know. They're getting blasted by 50 different units in their building.
And the cell tower built right there for their convenience, for their Wi-Fi.
Yeah. And now they're talking about 6G, and this might get deleted if we dive into it, but it's going to penetrate you on a cellular level, which I'm sure you know of.
Yeah, and the thing is that I believe that technology could be used for good. There are signals that are harmonious to the body, like the Schumann's resonance. It could be like blasting that out. But no, we're blasting out. And I'm not an expert in 5G, so I'm just going to say that. But I think that there's a better way to use those devices.
Yeah. Do you get censored a lot because of what you teach on social media?
I did. I've been a lot more careful. I've really changed my language for now so that I can educate people on causes of unresolving things like long COVID. And
I've had to take a step back too. I've had a strike for a bit on YouTube, and then Instagram. Anytime I talk about 5G, it gets censored.
Yeah.
Certain keywords, the V word.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Yep. I'm right with you.
Yeah, but I'm with you too. We need to get this out somehow. So I've taken a step back for people to do their own research, I guess. But we kind of spark their curiosity.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Which is important, because obviously parents want the best for their kids, but when they're giving them Lunchables and all this crap, it's tough.
Yeah, and a lot of people come to me like, oh, my kids are sick. Can they take your program? And any parent listening, I'm like, you need to take my program. Parents need to understand. You don't want to send your kids a message that there's something wrong with you. You need to go do these exercises. Parents need to understand nervous system work. They need to know how to educate the kids. And it goes from the parents down. So just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, that's cool. Are you using any AI within the company yet?
We are just starting to learn the most ethical way of doing that, which is primarily just feeding it my own words and having it help people with my own. I'm not going to feed it any outside stuff because I think that's where you're crossing the line and you're confusing claiming creative license on something you didn't create. Yeah, I have a lot of issues with AI, and I think that it's in some ways it's got a lot of opportunity, and it's a fine line, and you want to use it with the highest integrity. So we're just starting to figure out how can we use this to repurpose my own words and my own material and teach people with their specific conditions in a better way, versus, letting AI be the new teacher and grabbing all sorts of God knows what off the internet and pretending it's my own. So, I don't plan on doing that.
Well, these life insurance companies, because I've had Gary Brecka on the show a couple times, he said they've been using AI and algorithms for a while. They would know when you would pass away within a month based off your health data.
Wow.
So that's how they come up with the life insurance rates, because they could see all your data. And he said within the month, they were pretty much accurate.
Wow.
If they don't change their lifestyle at least.
And so that would be a great way to use it as a predictive indicator and to get that kind of information.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's good ways. Like I was at the dentist and they used it to see my cavities.
Yeah. I just had one done too as well.
Oh, yeah? You went to a holistic one?
Yeah.
I'm never going back to Western dentistry. Nope. I mean, so there's microplastics in the cavity fillers. Yep. So that's in my mouth right now. And then the metal fillings are terrible for you.
Yeah, I had 18 metal fillings.
Oh my God.
Because I grew up in the middle of nowhere and had horrible, I've had, I don't know, 5-6 root canals.
Jeez.
18 fillings. So I think that was a part of the setup for me. I've learned a lot. I've gotten most of the metal out. I've got a couple more to go. But yeah, that's been a big part of my health journey. But also trying to just keep my brain and nervous system, like, again, sometimes people are like, oh, I just need to fix my teeth and that'll fix everything. Not if the trauma is still lodged in your body, because why did your teeth rot away in the first place? There's signaling issues. Of course, it's what we eat, but our nervous system plays a large role into all of our health, including our teeth, including our microbiome, which affects our teeth. So, I want to say, like, yes, address your teeth and address the nervous system that's affecting the microbiome that's affecting your teeth.
Interesting. I never thought about that connection because I just assumed sugar, but could be both.
Of course that's a...
Yeah, no, but for me, because I had 7 cavities the other month and I don't eat sugar often.
Wow.
So this was last year, so it could be trauma related or something.
Yeah, it's probably your microbiome.
Wow. And I've had gut issues for years.
There you go. Yeah.
Constipation.
Gut-teeth connection, it's huge. And your vagus nerve affects your gut. Your vagus nerve is the thing that's affected with trauma.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have gut issues, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, of course. I mean, what are you going to eat here that hasn't been sprayed with, or even next door to a field? I mean, you got to grow your own food somehow.
That's how we have to evolve to eventually, I think, at this point.
100%.
But yeah, I walk into the Vegas airport bathroom. I have to hold my breath. Like, it's that bad. People are out here struggling. They're eating Panda Express before their flight.
I know.
I was at the Dallas airport. The line was out the door for Panda Express.
I know, in the Cinnabon or whatever.
It's like, are you serious? Like, these people are eating that before a flight?
I know. I look, I'm like, how are they alive? Like, if I ate like that, I feel like I'd be hospitalized.
Oh, no. Ever since I cut seed oils, if I eat out now, I feel like the whole day.
Yep.
Like, it's so bad. Seed oils were a massive health change for me. Mm-hmm. And do you know this app, Yuka?
Yeah, I have it.
Yeah, I love that app.
Yeah, me too.
There was a lot of...
I threw away half my products.
I know. There was so many brands I used to buy. Even like the beauty products.
Yeah.
A lot of them were scoring 0 out of 100 on that app.
Yeah, they're like dermatologist recommended. It's like 0. It's full of all of these like endocrine disruptors. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big one. Tap water in the shower.
Yes.
How to buy a filter.
Yeah, we're on that journey too, trying to find the best source, and it's hard.
It is.
It's hard. I mean, we're trying to like, how do we grow like hydroponic plants in our garage, and what can we do for water, because we have to come up with these solutions.
Yeah.
We all need to be responsible for how are we going to feed ourselves, what kind of water are we going to drink, and how can we stay as healthy as possible.
Yeah, I mean, you saw when that hack happened, the grocery stores were shut down. It was kind of scary. Mm-hmm. I went and bought some MREs. I mean, stocked up on water. That could probably happen again in the future, like a big cyber attack crashes all the payment processors.
Yep.
So it's good to have that, that garden.
And this is also why we need to regulate our nervous system, because when this happens, like, we need to be able to handle it or our health is going to go down. The stress of that will be intense. And I feel like if I were to have a main mission right now, like, yes, it's chronic illness, but our nervous system health is crucial to be able to eat and digest whatever it is that we are able to eat, to be able to handle whatever is to come. We've got to be able to be as regulated as possible so we can make the best decisions possible and be able to be there for our family.
Absolutely. Yeah, because some people deal with stress and they just shut down. So that's probably a sign of a poor system, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That makes sense.
We're going to need to know how to roll with hard things when they happen.
Yeah. Well, Kathleen, it's been a pleasure. I can't wait to take this test and text you what I get.
Yeah.
And we'll be in touch either way, because I want to work on those eye exercises.
Okay, that sounds great.
Where can people find you and Primal Trust and everything?
Yeah, sure. So primaltrust.org is my website. Instagram, primaltrust_official. I also have a YouTube channel. And like I said, we have a full platform. We have live daily classes to help people. You can show up on Zoom every day and get regulation help, as well as courses and things like that. So yeah, we have a really beautiful community, and I'd love to have people join.
Love it. We'll link it below. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Yep. Thanks for watching, guys, as always. See you next time.